Hello gamers and gameheads, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And guys, before we get into today's video, I do want to give a special shout out and a special thank you to Bandai Namco for sponsoring this video and hooking me up with a review key for Tales of Symphonia. And speaking of that, I also want to apologize to you guys and to Bandai Namco as well that my first impressions and thoughts on Tales of Symphonia is so late. Long story short, I was away from my office and actually sick when the Tales of Symphonia review keys were sent out by Bandai, so it was a while before I even got to actually dive into the game and play it the way I wanted to, and not to mention, it took me a while, to get my thoughts together and everything like that for this first impressions. So, if you don't know what Tales of Symphonia is, it is one of the many Tales games created by, the legends themselves, Bandai Namco, and it's an awesome title. If you don't know what to expect from a Tales game by now, they are instanced RPG where, you run around, you will get into a randomly generated fight by an enemy on the field, it'll take you into a battle, but instead of having, the typical turn-based you attack, they attack kind of thing, it has pure action combat. So it's more so every time you get into a battle in this game, you're more so put in like a mini arena based on that area, and you take yourself and your party members and, tear those bad guys and new ones. Even some of these Tale games, they even support multiplayer in a lot of ways, at least, for the battle systems and stuff like that. Now, me personally, my first Tales game I ever played was Tales of Grace's F on the PlayStation 3, and that is still my favorite to this day. None of the Tales games, to my opinion at least, stand the test of time to that one. My fiance had actually showed that game to me a while back, and as soon as I saw her play it, I took a look at the combat, how the game was running and playing, stuff like that, and on the PS3 at the time especially, it was very impressive. Now, Tales of Symphonia, what I know, this was a GameCube title. I do believe it launched on some other platforms as well, but I mainly know it as a GameCube game. Now, in short, I do like what I've played with Tales of Symphonia. This is my first impressions with it. However, there are some disappointing things with Tales of Symphonia that I do want to go ahead and get out of the way right now. Number one, I'm really not a fan of its performance or how it looks on the Nintendo Switch. Me personally, I went ahead and picked the Nintendo Switch version as a review copy to check out and showcase to people because I already knew the PlayStation version and PC they would all look good. And when I looked at Switch, I was like, you know what? This is the one I'm going to be the most curious about. And I was expecting, because it was such an old game, it would simply run at, a solid 1080p, 60 FPS, or hell, maybe even more. Now, obviously, the Switch ain't pushing 120 FPS the way the PlayStation 5 or Series X or S can do, but this is a really old game, so you would be surprised, what it could possibly do on the Nintendo Switch. But when I saw that this game was just running at 30 FPS on Nintendo Switch, I said to myself, what is this? And the reason that's so disappointing is because Nintendo Switch, it's already, an underpowered console. But not to mention, it is also Nintendo's, current generation hardware. And this current console is a couple generations away from GameCube. Why is this slightly remastered version getting basically the same performance as the GameCube version, just at, a higher resolution? Now, I appreciate, the resolution increase from Nintendo Switch. From the way it looks, it's running at either 900p or 1080p. I'm not sure. I didn't exactly measure it, but I can see that with my own eyes. It's clearly not 720 or anything like that. But, just it was real disappointing, to see this not even get a 60 frame jump when a lot of developers, have bumped even some current generation games to run at 60 FPS on Nintendo Switch. Seeing a game that's, over a decade old not come on here and just run at 30 FPS, and, the Switch isn't exactly a high resolution machine. It's only sporting games between 720 and 1080p. It's not giving you any 1440p or 4K. I just feel like, it's kind of a letdown for, the Switch version, but that's just my personal opinion. My other gripe with Tales of Symphonia was the control customization. Now, at least on the Switch version. I'm only going to speak on the Switch version because this is the only version I've played. If this is different on PlayStation or any other platforms, you are more than welcome, to make that known in the comments. Now, there are control customizations in this version of Tales of Symphonia. However, they are limited. Like, for example, I wanted to make my main attack button the Y button. However, it would only let me pick between like 2 or 3 different buttons that I could use to attack. And like, it was limited to the buttons you could choose for every single different option in the game. And I just thought that was weird. Like, why not just let me fully customize the controls how I want to? I really don't understand that limitation, why it's there, or if it's just some type of bug or whatever, but it's strange, and it's honestly just annoying, because I have a control scheme that I like, especially when it comes to action games or action RPGs or RPGs with a lot of button mashy hack and slash like combat like the Tales games have. But this kind of messed up my experience, because I was forced to use a control scheme that I'm not used to. I have a remastered version of this classic game here that's supposed to have better quality of life features and improve this and improve that, but I can't even change the controls on a simple layout from a game from over a decade ago. And it makes me wonder why. But other than that, I don't really have any beefs with Tales of Symphonia. It's honestly a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the story so far. The combat in the game is wonderful. Like I said, if you've played any Tales game, you should know what to expect with the combat. It's nice, button mashy, hack and slashy. The soundtrack, especially for these Tales games, always good and lovely. The visuals, like I said, I'm not too pleased about, at least on Nintendo Switch. Like I said, on all the other platforms, I'm sure it's, fine, way above expectations and stuff like that. Hell, even on the next-gen consoles and PC, maybe you can even run this at 120 FPS. And, some RPGs, they include that feature. Some don't. I'm not sure if this game does, but I'm pretty sure the new gen consoles could handle running this game at 120 FPS if they put the option in there. But it's just, I just feel like the Switch version is so limited in so many cases, and it doesn't feel like, a remastered version too much when you play it on the Switch. It's more so, just like, hey, here's a resolution update with a view quality of life improvements. But anyway, guys, like I said, not to bash on Tales of Symphonia or anything. It is a solid game overall. It's just, I was a little disappointed in some of the add-ons, especially with the Nintendo Switch version. Anyway, y'all enjoyed today's video. Smash that like button. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.